You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Like, seriously, how many times have we met?
Once, really, wasn't it?
Well, there was a 2 day. It was a
2 days at the High Court.
Twice I met you at the High Court.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known you for a lot longer than that.
It's interesting, isn't it? When you meet certain people and you just instantly have that bond. And that, I think we've lived together before somewhere.
Dude, easy. I didn't mean that close.
No, man, not together, but we've had lives together before, I'm sure.
Maybe. No, but it's funny. I was speaking to Louisa and I was like,
yeah.
I just want Zac. Like, there were some other people we could have had on talking about fluoride and whatnot. But the truth is, I was like, nah, not my kind of people. I like Zac.
Yeah.
I like you, Zac.
Thank you very much. I like you too. You're a very, very lovely man. Thanks for having me on. Are we on? Are we recording? We are. Okay. That's great. Yeah, man. When I first met you, I thought, wow, that's an interesting chap. You know, very eloquently spoken, really eloquently spoken.
Really?
Yeah, very, very eloquently spoken. And I thought, make a great lawyer or a podcaster.
What are you talking about when we spoke at the High Court?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I didn't even say anything.
You said a lot of things. You said a lot of things about the regulators. You know, where we have to uphold the profession, and of course that creates a conflict if you're a whistleblower.
Yeah,
and who isn't a whistleblower these days? Well, the majority of doctors, but there's a minority of us who are happy to speak out.
Can I tell you something funny? I look at our politicians reading from their teleprompter or whatever, and I think, man, I could do 100 times better than that, and it'd be natural and authentic. I look at these puppets and I think, what the hell? And having been to the High Court, I'll be honest with you, I also thought I could do that job.
Yeah, you could. I'm absolutely sure you could. Quite interesting, isn't it? I'm trained to be a barrister now.
Yeah.
And it is quite interesting that you pay an advocate and he represents you or she represents you, whether they believe you or not.
Right.
So that creates this system where lawyers are not arguing from their heart. You know, when you speak from your heart, because it's a subject that you want to put right,
yes.
For example, fluoridation or whatever, then you're way more convincing. You're going to convince the judge way more. Or if you're lucky, you get a jury, right? But because they have this system where you just have to represent whoever you're paid to represent, you end up with a legal system which I think is fundamentally flawed because you don't get that heart and soul into the case.
100%. I was going to say it's not just flawed, it's just fake. It's fake.
Yeah, exactly. Completely fake. You know, when lawyers are just up there with their mouths going blah, 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 you know they're not authentic. You know it because you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can absolutely feel it.
100%. And it's like what then happens is instead of them really pursuing the truth and justice, because the two come together, what it is they start arguing over technicalities and how can we win and, you know, where can we trip the other person up because, you know what, they didn't submit a bundle correctly. I mean, that just drives me fracking insane. The fact that we spent at this High Court, this prestigious establishment, building an institution, you know, looked at from around the world, all the, you know, our former colonial countries want to emulate this form of justice. And we're sitting there and it's like, have you got the bundle and which bundle number 2? And it wasn't handed in properly and the procedure wasn't followed. And we're faffing around 3-4 hours over nonsense when it's just a case of, what happened here was really wrong to Dr. Sarah Myhill, and she's being dragged through the kangaroo court. I know we can't talk about it too much. It's an active case, but like, I just want to get to the nitty gritty. And like, this is wrong. And instead of discussing that issue, the real matter at heart, it's all this garbage around the periphery. And it was just driving me insane.
Me too. You're exactly right. the legal system is so in love with its brain, it thinks it's so clever, it actually misses the point, right? It misses the point, which is truth. You know, if you're a whistleblower and you're saying there's alternative treatments to whatever it is, COVID, conkers of the bonkers, whatever disease you're supposed to have, if you say there's an alternative, you're shut down. And that's just not right. You know, if you know these diseases can be treated in another way, then you're seen as an outlier, you're an outreacher, you're a maverick, you're dangerous. Dangerous to who? Dangerous to the industry, right?
But yeah, exactly. But haven't you found, like, it's not just the justice legal system? I tell my children, like, we're in 2025, but we are in so many ways more backward, more inferior to all those people who came before us. Because yes, okay, there's smart gadgets and computers and we can communicate people around the world, but from a societal, professional, cultural point of view, we're really backward. We don't know how to build houses anymore. My house is 300 years old, still standing. Modern houses with all their regulations and laws and legislation are falling apart after 20 years, are filled with dampness and, rotting away. So where's that progress? What about medicine? Where, again, they're in love with themselves, that they just think they're so smart and they're so clever and they're so smug, and anyone else is just an idiot, and anyone else pointing out something that might be wrong is just to be called a quack, because you know what? They're so clever. I just feel like we're gone backwards.
Yeah, we have. There's no two ways about it, is there? I mean,
oops, that was me. I just dropped something. Oops.
I've got of your body fell off there.
I've got
was one of the bolts in your neck fell off?
Actually, that was one of my guests this week who brought a silver medallion of Trump, commemorating him, hopefully building the third temple. That's a long story. Anyway, carry on. Things have gone backward.
You've got me intrigued. Well, yeah, smart motorways. There we go. You don't need to say any more, do you? Who needs a hard shoulder to pull your car onto?
Right.
Right. This is supposed to be intelligent. Yeah. So if anything's stupid, they put the word smart in front of it, and then the people seem to buy it.
Yeah, and it's not just that. A really good example, but it was like the people didn't want the smart highway or whatever it was, but didn't they just say, okay, let's rebrand it and name it something else? Digital highway or something else?
Oh, maybe. I mean, I know there was...
What I'm trying to say is, like, we defeat them and then they just come back in. Like, they won't take no for an answer.
They just rebadge themselves, don't they?
Yeah.
Public Health England is now what? Health and Security Agency. They keep on rebadging the whole time.
Is that what's happened?
Yeah, I think that's what businesses do, don't they, when they're in trouble?
Rebranding exercises.
Rebrand themselves. Yeah, I mean, I think when you look back at Public Health England and the fact that there was this public-private partnership thing entered into by Mr. Blair and various other politicians to let this creep in, where industry supposedly partners with a public body. How does that then public body remain independent? Answers on a postcard to ihavetwobraincells.com. Yeah, there's no way that they can remain independent. As we know with the MHRA, they're no longer independent, are they? They're financed predominantly by the pharmaceutical industry. So we have these public bodies who should be looking after the public, but in fact just look after the industry.
Yeah.
And then if you're an outlier like me, or were you an outlier?
I don't know. You asked me.
Yeah, I mean, as a surgeon, did you do stuff which was considered new or maverick? I mean, I remember a chap called Jerry Tennant. Have you ever come across him?
No.
He patented the first lenses for cataract replacements.
Right.
And when he first started doing it, they wanted to take his license away. And now, every day, everyone gets their cataracts replaced, don't they? Well, with his lenses, with the patents on. But he nearly lost his job. So anyone who starts breaking boundaries and doing stuff new is considered a threat.
Okay, I was a maverick then, because but I wasn't doing experimental surgeries. What I was doing was, when I went into the NHS as a consultant, looking at different ways of running clinics, bringing in physiotherapists to do some of the work that a doctor would do and train them up. do dedicated clinics with multidisciplinary team, just be more efficient, see more patients, but see them in a way that was better for everyone, including the patient, not just churning them out 5-10 minute exercises, where a dedicated team was looking after the patients. And because it was a dedicated team, everybody knew what they're doing, were trained, knew how to look after wounds, knew what advice to give. So just instead of generic staff who come and go literally every week and didn't actually say to the patient anything other than sit there and wait, you had a team. And, then the quality will be much higher. I wanted to do stuff like that, bring in fellows, bring in new devices to treat people with, get an ultrasound machine that I could scan in clinic rather than send them off, 6-week wait for a scan and 3 weeks to come back for, just do everything there and then, one-stop shop clinics. I was bringing these kind of ideas, and I found that they weren't interested. They hated change. They wanted same. I wanted to run parallel lists. And I did do it for a while. So what happens is, as a surgeon, the biggest delay was once you've finished operating on the patient has to leave, and there's no bed, there's no porter to take the patient. So they're just sitting there with a tube down their throat being anesthetized, waiting. And then they have to clean the theater once the patient leaves. Then they have to send for the next patient. And again, there's no porter to collect the patient. Then the patient arrives, then the anesthetist has to put them to sleep, and there might be teaching, so it's taking ages. So you've done an operation, and it might be an hour and a half before you're doing the next. Now, in that hour and a half, I could have done another operation. So what I started doing was, and I convinced the management, look, I go into one operation, and as soon as my knife touches the skin, the next theater will send the patient, and by the time they've anesthetized, brought the patient in, draped them, I finished, and I walk straight in and do the next case. And so I would go from one case to another, to another, to another, and I would get 12 operations done compared to like maybe 5 on the solo. And, stuff like that I wanted it, but people didn't like it.
Well, the porters actually run the hospitals, don't they?
Yeah.
I remember I was a junior maxillofacial surgeon down in Exeter, and some chap had been glassed in the face, and they'd severed the facial artery. They couldn't stop it bleeding, so I got the pager back in those days. Come on, Zac, come down, he's bleeding to death, can't do nothing with him. So I went down, and there was blood squirting out of his face. Hitting the ceiling, it was great. I clipped it off, and I said, right, let's get him down to theatre. He needs a transfusion, I've got to sew it up. And they said no. And I went, what? And they said, well, you need a porter. I was like, but this bloke's nearly dead. He was white as a sheet, like he'd lost virtually all his blood. So I rang the porter. Can we move this man down to the theatre now? He needs urgently transfused, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm on my tea break. So I wheeled him down.
Yeah.
And I got in shit for doing that.
Yeah.
For saving the bloke's life. I got in shit. Go figure. So porters, they run the show, right?
Mate, you broke the union laws.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 100%. So yeah. I honestly would go and get the patient, and every single time I'd get into trouble. And I'd be like, well, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. I was a troublemaker. So I would go collect the patient. Yeah. I would clean the theater. I would bring in the x-ray machine and position it in the right place. So it sounds like not that big a deal, but like I want x-ray to come, and they go, we'll come when you're ready during the operation. But the problem is then you're bringing in a machine from outside, you're de-sterilizing the air.
Yeah. You're
then having to navigate past all the instrumentation and trays, and the theaters are really small. Yeah. So it's symbolic. So I would just get the x-ray machine from the room in the corridor, wheel it in, put it in the right position, put the monitor in the right position, put the C-arm in the right position. So when the x-ray person had to come, all they needed to do was switch, turn the key, and that's it, good to go. Yeah. None of this. And also, remember, like imagine halfway through an operation and go, right, I need an x-ray. You then call the x-ray person, then they wheel them. You're standing again for half an hour waiting for them to fracking get things ready. And I remember like so many times people would get like, oh, you're not meant to touch the machine. You're not meant to move it. And I'd be like, but then, after a while, you get a reputation and people don't ask questions anymore. And they go, okay, thanks, Mr. Malik. All right, okay. Oh yeah. Oh, you set everything up. Thank you, Mr. Malik. Because I would do that. But, my colleagues, they would just sit in the coffee room. They would do their private practice notes and admin, and they honestly didn't give a fuck how productive the NHS was. They came to the NHS to relax, to get their full-time salary. It didn't matter if they did 1 operation that day or 6, they would get paid the same amount. As long as it came at 9 and left at 5, they were fine. Now, I was a different animal. It would drive me nuts, this inefficiency and wasting and doing nothing. So I would never sit in the coffee room. I would just be doing all the jobs that I've just told you. And that's why I got a lot of cases done. But honestly, at one time, near the end of my NHS career, a manager came up to me and said, we're going to have to do an investigation, Ahmed. I went, why? Well, you're into your practice. I went, what do you mean? Well, you're not doing proper theatre utilization. It's come to our attention. You're leaving 15, 20 minutes early every list. I went, what's wrong with that? They went, well, you're not utilizing theatre and you're avoiding work and you're leaving early. I went, hold on 1 second. Last year, how many operations did I do? And the guy looked up on the spreadsheet. It was like 700 and something. I went, okay, all right. What about the other foot and ankle surgeon? How many cases did he do? 340. Well, hold on. So I've done more than double the number of operations that guy did. Why are you investigating my practice? Well, he doesn't have a problem with his theatre utilization, where you do. He doesn't. He leaves at 5 o'clock, and you leave 15 minutes early. And I'm like, no. Listen.
It's unbelievable.
I kid you not. This is a fucking conversation. I was like, why are you not telling him to do more operations and not sit in the coffee room and get his shit together? And then the response was, it's not his fault he's slow.
Do you suspect they want to keep the waiting lists high so that the private sector can take off? I am suspicious. Are you?
Yeah, I am suspicious. I mean, the thing is, I had doctors, colleagues tell me, you're an idiot. You need a waiting list to leverage against the management, and you need a waiting list so that people will be driven to the private hospital. And the thing is, they have these incentives, so they send NHS patients to the private hospital, and surgeons love it because the indemnity is covered by the NHS. So even though it's done in the private hospital, it doesn't matter if something goes wrong. They're not liable. They don't. The NHS will fit the bill, and it's a fixed rate tariff. So they just get like £500 for an operation, and regardless, and they don't have to go out and work for it, and they don't have to like convert the patient. Like, so there's a conversion rate. So say you get 100 patients, my conversion rate, honestly, in the last few years was like 5-10%. So if you came to see me, there's only a 5-10% chance that I was actually going to operate on you. I would find some other way of treating you, reassuring you, diagnosing you, physical therapy, injections, orthotics, osteopathy, chiropractor, personal training, nutrition, sleep, all this kind of stuff. I would have found some way of just getting your foot better without having to operate on you. But that doesn't pay. The surgery is what makes money. So doctors want to have a higher conversion rate, and then they want to avoid other treatment options, unethical surgeons. And so if you go to an unethical surgeon, everything's an operation. Oh yeah, I'll do a keyhole surgery. It'll be fixed tomorrow. And the sad reality is, because we live in a psychopathic society, a lot of patients love that because they don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to make the sacrifices. They don't want to make the choices that will actually change their life for better. They want a quick fix. So if the surgeon goes, yeah, it's a keyhole operation. It's, it's really quick and you'll be back on your feet in 2 weeks. Or I say to them, actually, you know what? You need to change your footwear, and we need to work on your weight and your diet and your sleep and this and that. They'll go, I'll have the keyhole operation, get back on my feet in 2 weeks. So the patient wants that. The surgeon wants that, rubbing his hands with glee and thinking cha-ching ching. The hospital loves that because they're making more money as well. Everyone loves that, except me, who's thinking, what the hell's going on here?
Thank God for people like you. Surgery should be a last resort. It always should be a last resort. There's so many other things you can do, isn't there? I remember having a patient who was a physio down in Chichester, and she reckons she could get about 80 to 90% of people who are lined up for hip operations to not need the operation, not need the surgery. So, but I don't think they finance that anymore. It's more beneficial. There's more money in the surgery, right?
Yeah.
More beneficial financially. I mean, not for the patient.
For everyone, yeah. For everyone. And so, even the physios everything's a race to the bottom. The insurance companies are paying less and less. So physios, doctors, everybody, they don't have as much time. So to recoup the costs of running a practice, the indemnity, the secretary, the billing, the typing, all that kind of stuff, you have to, it's a race to the bottom. It's a numbers game. So instead of spending an hour with a patient, it's like, I'm going to try and fit 4 in, 5 in. I've got 5-10 minutes. And, I've got colleagues I knew, because they would talk about it in the coffee room. They'd be like, yeah, the patient's calm, x-rays there. I'd be like, right, so do you want a hip replacement? And they'd be like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, right, what day you want the surgery? And they'd be like, give a date, and that's it. There was no examination. There was no, let's talk about what your pain is, what have you tried? No, it's, yeah, you've got hip arthritis in the x-ray. When do you want your hip replacement? And that's it. That's a consultation.
Sounds perfect to me. It's a disgrace, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you would do all sorts: acupuncture, physio, etc., herbs. There's so many things you can take to fix these joint issues. Speaking of hips, though, can I segue into fluoride? Is that a bit of a sneaky segue into fluoride? No.
Listen, I need to tell people that, look, you're here at short notice, and this is going to be rapidly turned around because there's a problem with fluoride in this country. And we need to talk about this. And I was going to ask, because of your background in dentistry, about fluoride, and that's how we're going to get in.
That's how you're going to segue, not through hip fractures.
Yeah, we'll do the hip fractures as well.
All right, we can segue that way.
But the thing is, I think something bigger is going on. I think in America, possibly, with Bobby,
yeah.
They might be stopping fluoride in the water, possibly in New Zealand too. So these big chem companies are now thinking, what are we going to do with all this extra fluoride? And that's why they might be looking for new markets. And as you know, in the UK now, they want to roll it out in the north. Is it northeast or north?
Northeast. So up around Middlesbrough, that area. It's already around Newcastle, but they're going to do another 1.8 million people, I think.
Because is this like the first area in the UK where they've done the fluoridation?
Since the 80s, yes.
Yeah.
They stuck it in the water. I mean, it all kicked off after World War II with the Manhattan Project, when they're building a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
So you get the plaster, gypsum rock.
Yeah.
Same plaster you have on your wall. And in that is uranium. So they refine the uranium out of the gypsum, and the byproduct is fluoride. So in the story goes, I mean, I don't know how true it is, that they're trying to make a nuclear bomb end of World War II. Towards the end of World War II, I should say. And they released all this fluoride into the rivers around this refinery and killed some cows. Now, the farmer got his vet in, and the vet assessed the cows and said, ooh, there's fluoride poisoning. At this point, DuPont enters. And DuPont, the non-stick people, Teflon company, they sponsor all the dental schools. And all the dental schools around the world took money from DuPont. And lo and behold, fluoride became the #1 cure for tooth decay.
Wow. Well, I was going to tell you, I don't know if you know this or not, but fluoride is a byproduct. And actually, that's just a simple way of saying waste. It's a waste product.
It's a pollutant.
It's a pollutant made from multiple industries, which are aluminium,
steel.
Aluminium mainly. So aluminium is locked with fluoride, and to extract the aluminium, massive amounts of fluoride are made. And the aluminium industry is like 300 billion a year. It's huge.
Mm.
And then it's also the fertilizer industry.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make the phosphate, fertilizer, massive amounts of fluoride waste is made.
Sure.
Insecticides, pesticides. The nuclear industry, like you've just said. There are multiple industries that all make fluoride. And the problem is fluoride is this toxic, poison, pollutant waste. And it's like, what the hell do we do with this? Now, being crony capitalists, the big chem companies came up with the wonderful idea. Let's not waste anything. This is waste, but let's repackage it, sell it to municipalities, tell them put it in the water, and it's great for teeth. So, and the markup is 20,000, by the way.
Ooh.
That's how much money they make on this. And so not only do they not have to get rid of this pollutant, which is costly, wasteful, and expensive, now they get to make money, and a lot of it.
Exactly. They were going to have to pay for safe waste disposal. I'm not even sure how you can dispose of this product. Fluoride is one of those super active elements that, if you remember back to chemistry, it displaces just about everything.
Yep.
Right? It's so active. So in the human body, it's going to displace
Iodine.
particularly iodine. Yeah, but it also destroys all enzymes. It causes oxidative stress, and oxidative stress is inflammation. And what does inflammation make? Every disease that we know of, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So I think the evidence that we have is strong. You know that it's causing a lot of harm. Particularly, we want to talk about hip fractures, thyroid issues, and lowering of intelligence, IQ loss, etc. But I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. I think this chemical is a lot worse than the letting on. When earlier on, there was some research into cancers, and there was a strong link with uterine cancer and bladder cancer. No more research has been done since. I don't think it's allowed. And fluoride researchers find it virtually impossible to get their stuff published.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Like aluminium research, like Chris Exley at Keele University, professor, the aluminium man, he was researching aluminium and noting the toxicity in the brain, in cancers, in cardiovascular disease, everything, autoimmune, asthma. He was like, aluminium is the substance, third most abundant element in the planet, but it was locked up for millions of years in the Earth's crust. And then we came along 150 years ago and went, oh, this is great, let's unlock it. Not knowing that actually nothing natural uses aluminium. It's not used, it's cytotoxic. And now it's in everything, the air, the water, the soil. And then, like you said, the fluoride as well. And I think things like fluoride and aluminium and all the other chemicals they've made, they are causing havoc on nature and our bodies. And the research isn't done. Like Chris Exley started doing the research, he got cancelled. And like you said, you can't do research on fluoride, but it's everywhere. I talked about this with Ursula Edgington, the corruption of academia and how science is so corrupted. What happens is you have big pharma, big chemical, they fund and give money to universities and departments and professors. And it's clearly the money comes with strings attached. You have to research a certain thing and promote a certain agenda. And then the universities and professors prostitute themselves at and use their names and reputations as justification by these chemical companies to say, look, how great this product is. It's safe. It's effective. There's no harmful things. And there's a cycle. It keeps going. Like take vaccines, for example. Bill and Melinda Gates, Gavi, they fund the WHO. The WHO then promotes the vaccine products. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Gates Foundation, pay the universities to do the research to promote the vaccines. The universities then create the so-called science to promote the vaccines, which is all flawed. And then the WHO goes back to the universities and say, look, these are the research papers, these justify our positions. And you've just got this cycle of philanthropic corruption and big pharma influence on academia, on the media, on politicians, on public health, on the UN. And the person that really pays is you and me, because it's our taxpayers' money or directly money to pay for these products that everyone else in this cycle is profiting from, and we're the ones getting sick and disabled and injured from. It's just awful. And fluoride is the same. It's in there with the vaccines and aluminium and everything else.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Do you remember that hydroxychloroquine study that came out during the lockdown? Do you remember that?
Yeah, the one that was
published by or written by a porn star, wasn't it? And a sci-fi writer in Australia. And then it turned out it was completely bogus.
Yeah.
And it was published in the Lancet, wasn't it? In the Journal of New England Medicine, and
retracted. Wasn't it retracted?
It was retracted, yeah. But before it was retracted, it had already done its harm, hadn't it? And they pulled hydroxychloroquine off the market. I mean, then retracted. Insane, right?
So it is insane. So what more, like, in terms of, like, as a dentist, when you went to university, what were you told about fluoride? And because the way I look at it, fluoride for dentists is like vaccines for doctors. Like, I never had a lecture on vaccines, and I've spoken to so many doctors now. They've all said the same thing. I never had a lecture on vaccines. We were just told it's brilliant. And I thought that's the biggest con job, where you go through 5 years of med school and you come back going, vaccines are amazing. And you're like, really? What's in them? I don't know. Show me the studies. I haven't seen any. And vaccines are amazing. Oh God, yeah, vaccines are amazing. And on what basis are you telling me that? Because vaccines are amazing. Like, it's an NCP complete, computer game like response. Is fluoride the same with dentists, or did you actually get
exactly the same? Exactly the same. Totally the same.
Shut
I
up.
don't remember being taught much about fluoride other than it's good for you. That's about it. I mean, but back in the day, right, it did used to say on the toothpaste, I can remember it, do not swallow. Spit out. And then that got erased from the back of the toothpaste, and then it changed to don't rinse. Keep the toothpaste in your mouth, because then you got the fluoride all day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Nuts, eh? Absolutely nuts. And what they don't say, they don't teach you that it's one of those forever chemicals. So about 50%-ish, I mean, I don't think anyone really knows, but 50% of the fluoride stays permanently in your body, in your bones and your teeth, in your pineal gland. I wonder. That one makes you wonder, doesn't it? The pineal gland.
No, speak up. Say that again. So you didn't get taught any of this?
So we got taught nothing, basically.
Nothing?
About fluoride, really. Yeah. Same as you with vaccines. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
But then you're like the biggest proponents of use fluoride toothpaste.
And then we're all told, yeah, fluoride, stick it in the water, stick it everywhere. It's good for you. Well, is it? When you stick it in the water, it doesn't work. The latest studies show it doesn't make any difference to tooth decay. No significant difference, maybe, a hair's breadth difference. And the evidence of harm is just awful. The recent court ruling, you would have seen that, I'm sure. In the States with the IQ loss.
Yeah, explain that to the listeners.
So a bunch of mums took on the Environmental Protection Agency in the States and won. So it was about a 7-year battle. The evidence that fluoride causes your baby to lose IQ, in other words, to become
dumber,
more British, I was going to say. Dumber. Yeah, that was it. Can you say that?
Yeah, more
stupid.
Can we
say dumber, more stupid? Yeah, well, you lose IQ points, so you lose intelligence. And the problem with that is that our young ones should be brighter than us. And thank God my children aren't. They're a lot brighter than me. So each generation should get brighter and brighter and brighter, and we should have a better and better and better world. It shouldn't be that we have children who are dumber than us. Of course not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also the court did look at ADHD. So fluoride causes ADHD in quite significant proportions, dangerous proportions. You're looking at. Have you ever had a child with ADHD? I don't know if any of you could. No, so I mean, I see mums all the time with children with ADHD. Oh my God, it's difficult for them. It wrecks their lives. Yeah, absolutely wrecks their lives.
I've seen it at my jiu-jitsu club, and what I mean by that is, basically, I used to teach jiu-jitsu on one of the days of the week, and there were kids just running around, like rolling around on the floor, like there were these twins, like they were like 5, but they were like literally snogging each other, like I kid you not, and then running around not listening to us, and they're like, and the mum would be, oh sorry, they've got ADHD, and I'm like, oh okay, and she was like, I'm sorry, and they don't come now, thank God. No. They're just too disruptive.
It's very
They're
difficult.
Just bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
They're like tiger and kangaroo combined, aren't they, on acid? So I really feel for these parents. So we've got an additive to the water, which is not an essential mineral or an essential nutrient. It's not needed for any process in the body. Fluoride. So it's not needed for anything that our body normally does, and it makes your kids bonkers, and it loses their intelligence. So they lose their brains. They're not as clever as they should be. And so we have an additive which really affects mums really badly in that respect, right? Secondly, at the other end of mums' lives, as they enter menopause and perimenopause, it causes hip fractures. So the government's own study showed a 7% increase in hip fractures in what are called elderly, but that's someone who's over 60 now. It's called elderly. I think, what an insult, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, 60. I'm nearly 60. I don't feel elderly just yet.
Yeah, I'm almost there too.
Yeah.
Shove off, mate.
Right. And so we have a chemical which predominantly affects women really badly, because their babies are not intelligent. And when they get older, they get hip fractures. And hip fractures, way more than me, right, are lethal. So is it about 30%, 25 to 30% don't survive 12 months? So
30%, yeah.
30% die in the first 12 months. And this is because we're supposedly protecting children's teeth from tooth decay. It doesn't make sense, right?
But
it's a nonsense.
But and talk about the pineal gland. Like where does this fluoride go? And
Dr. Jennifer Luke, who was a dentist, PhD, she studied the pineal gland and found that most of the fluoride, the organ in the body which keeps most of the fluoride, is the pineal gland, with huge amounts of fluoride accumulating there. The pineal gland spiritually, do we get into spiritual stuff?
Yeah. Do it. And also physiological. Look, it regulates the circadian rhythm. Melatonin, sleep cycle, everything.
So if you want to talk about science and Western medicine, the melatonin is one of the most important antioxidants in our bodies, right? It protects you from cancer predominantly, makes you sleep, makes you feel good. And if that's disrupted and you don't sleep so well, you don't have that immune system that you should have. Right, so it's a direct attack on our immune system. Really is. So it's very serious. Spiritually, of course, you have the crown chakra. Can we talk about chakras and things like that?
I just did a podcast with Robin Kelly, Dr. Robin Kelly, and he talked about chakras. So I'm happy for you to talk about chakras. My audience will be totally open to it. So please talk about
that. There's a flame in your heart, which is the real spark of divinity. That is the real you. And you're connected to your higher self through the crown chakra, which then passes down through the pineal gland and then into your heart. So if that's disrupted, that connection is disrupted, you have less chance of being one with your own higher self, which is our ultimate aim on earth, right? To be one with God whilst in embodiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's our ultimate aim.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing else really matters. That's it. To establish our own divinity whilst we're here.
I love that.
Yeah. And they're interrupting that. So it's the biggest insult to God you can ever do is to damage the pineal gland. Seriously. Blocks the flow. So, so fluoride, going back to sciencey stuff, also damages the thyroid gland at very low levels, 0.22 parts per million. That's the last bit of science I'm going to say. So much, much lower than they're going to fluoridate. They're going to fluoridate it at 1 part per million.
Wow.
Right. So if you're already disrupting the thyroid gland, I mean, again, you're going to know more than me about thyroid, but you get things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue,
weight gain,
hair loss, depression.
I think it also exacerbates menopausal symptoms. So the iodine and fluoride are the same kind of like chemical property.
Same family,
they're
right?
the halogen family. So fluoride can easily displace iodine, basically. And iodine is essential for the thyroid gland. And again, like the pineal, thyroid hormone regulation, same with the thyroid. It's very important. You disrupt the hormones, you're disrupting your body's messengers, signals, and it just wreaks havoc on multi-systems in the body. But also people have said, like, in Japan, because they had a very rich seafood diet with iodine, they didn't have really menopausal symptoms. So if you're iodine deficient, it's really not good. You need iodine for energy. I mean, I have 3 drops of Lugol's iodine every morning. A lot of people are iodine deficient.
That's right. It's about 70% according to WHO. I take seaweed every day. I'd like sea greens.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I don't want to have an iodine fight, but I definitely think seaweed's better than Lugol's. That's just me. I think seaweed's better than Lugol's iodine.
I think if it's natural, I ain't arguing with that.
Yeah, Mother Nature wraps it up in ways that we don't understand, we don't comprehend.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with that.
No. So all my patients take sea greens. I just swear by it. It's just the best. And we're all deficient in iodine. You're totally right. So fluoride is yet another insult to our bodies.
Are the sea greens easy for kids to take?
No.
This is the problem.
Yeah. That is difficult. I mean, that's why eggs are so important. I guess that's why there's that attack on eggs at the moment with this avian flu nonsense.
It's complete nonsense.
Complete nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But where was I before I interrupted myself?
Thyroid, fluoride, chakras.
Thyroid, yeah. So fluoride in the water has been shown by Professor Peckham to cause about a doubling in thyroid issues in Birmingham. Also, mums who are hypothyroid more prone to having a deformed baby, right?
So say that again, clear.
Mums who are hypothyroid, so their thyroid's not functioning, are more prone to having a deformed baby, right?
Deformed baby.
Yeah, in terms of mentally handicapped, maybe even Down syndrome. So there is a study, one or two studies showing fluoride is linked to Down syndrome as well. Not particularly strong evidence, but still, nonetheless, we haven't seen much research carried out in this area.
So listen, you don't even need, I think, research to prove the benefit of fluoride. The reality is there's so much to prove the harm of it. It is unnatural. It is not physiological. It is poisonous. It is a waste pollutant substance, highly toxic. I don't give a damn whether you dilute it down. It's just not meant to be inside our body. Like, what's the government and the so-called public health people, what evidence are they using to justify this thing?
Yeah, good question. They're predominantly taking old evidence from, the 60s, the 50s when they first introduced it. When they first introduced it, they said it reduced tooth decay by 60%.
Okay.
Now they're saying that maybe 1, 2, or 3%. It basically doesn't work. There's no real sign that it works. So
so who's pushing for it and why?
Well, I think you're quite right when you said earlier. It's like Dark Waters, the film. You've seen the film when DuPont are spilling chemicals into the water and poisoning people. Basically, I think you're right. I think it's big industry. They want to spill their stuff into the water, whether it's aluminium, steel, ceramics, refrigerator coolants, whatever business it is which is spilling fluoride into the water. They don't want to deal with it. And I suspect that that's the reason why we're seeing the rise of fluoridate the water again.
And who, the people pushing this, are they just ideologically brain dead? Are they just they just don't know? In
terms of dentists, yeah, they believe they're right. I mean, it's quite interesting when you say, well, what about hip fractures to them? And they go, hip fractures? They don't know anything about it. And I was chatting to a dentist at work. He's a great chap, actually. He's also got a law degree like me. And could not wait. I was driving to work the whole way. I was buzzing the whole way because there was that legal ruling in the States which has shown that fluoride damages IQ. And I just wanted to rub it into my mate at work. So I went in and I went, did you see the news? He goes, oh my God, you tinfoil hat wearers are right. You conspiracy theorist boys are right. Fluoride really is bad.
And that's it. That's all he could say. What an insulting comment.
Wow, I was quite pleased that at least he gave us that much. He doesn't normally give you an inch, so that was a bit of a victory. So,
well, I think he's a dick.
Wow. I couldn't possibly comment. I got to see him on Monday, so I got to be nice to him.
Because if he was, because my response would have been like, "Oh my goodness, you guys were right. How? Oh God, I was so wrong. I wonder what else I'm wrong about. I wonder what else you're right about." That's what I would have done.
That's a really good point. I think with fluoride, it might open the floodgates, literally for people to start thinking, well, what else is wrong? What else is wrong in medicine? There's so much going wrong, isn't there?
But who's pushing the fluoride? Back to the fluoride. Is it public health? Is it politicians? Because is someone taking money for this? Or, because look, big pharma, as we know, pay and the bribery in the West is very sophisticated. It's not like Pakistan, Nigeria, here's a gun to your head or here's a brown paper bag with money in it. You get promoted upwards. There's revolving doors. So you go from the government side back to corporations, and there's ways that people get their incentive. So who's pushing it? Is it politicians? Is it Public Health England? Is it a bunch of dentists? Like, where does this suddenly come from? Is what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. I know Chris Whitty has been promoting it.
Oh, our friend
Chris Whitty, of course, he's our mate.
Whitty,
yeah, bless him. Yeah,
bless him.
He has our best interests at heart.
He does,
doesn't he? Does. Yeah.
He's got such a nice face.
Yes, couldn't possibly comment.
That stare. I could just look into his eyes forever, just over a candle, at dinner table. Please just keep looking at me like that. Just, those eyes. So beautiful. You don't think so?
Well, he's not really my type, I have to say. But
You know what I'm talking about? The poster. Remember the...
yes. You will die unless you, I don't know, don't hug granny or something, or sit down in a cafe, or do a headstand in a pub. I don't know. I forgot what all the crazy rules were.
Imagine someone has to have sex with him. Bloody hell.
Yeah. No, I don't really want to think about that.
God. Wow. Just think about that.
Yeah, definitely not my cup of tea. Definitely not. No.
Oh, then where the fuck do they roll these people out? Like, you know, like him, Valance, Boris.
Well, they all just seem to come from Eton or Harrow, don't they? And just one of the boys.
Like, are they even fucking human?
It makes you wonder sometimes, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah, it does make you wonder. What are they? Yeah.
What are they? Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
You do admire the way that they can twist facts and hide the truth. Such a sophisticated way that they can convince 80-90% of the population.
Yeah.
But they can't do it anymore. We're in an age of truth, don't you think? The truth just seems to be coming out no matter what people try to do to suppress it.
Yeah.
We really are in an age of truth, and I don't think they can bury stuff for much longer.
Yeah, I hope not. All right, okay, so we don't really know who's behind it, but clearly Big Pharma or Big Chem is behind it. And look, Big Chem, Big Pharma, it's all the same. Big Agra, they're all owned by the same people.
Yeah, big industry. Isn't
Big
it?
industry.
Basically, it's just big industry. Money people.
Money people.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't give a damn about us, do they? Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Part of me is like, you know, a lot of these people, we can say, you know, maybe they want to depopulate us, or maybe they want to kill us. Maybe it's literally just money. All they care about is money, and we are nothing to them. We, like, if you think of someone as an ant, do you care about whether you stand on an ant or not? Does that keep you up at night? That, you know what, you stood on an ant? Not really. And if they look at us like ants, and literally that is it. Like, they don't have any hatred toward us. They don't hate us. Do you hate an ant? No, you just stood on it and it just happened to be in your way. Maybe they just don't give a fuck. They just want their profit and their money. And you know what? If a few ants get squished on the way, yeah, it's all right. Maybe it's literally as cold as that.
You do get the impression that they're cold-blooded, don't you? I'm not pointing at lizardy stuff, but you do get the feeling they don't have much of a heart about them, do they?
Yeah, and you know what? David Icke, I don't believe in this lizard reptilian stuff. But you know what? I think he is right in the sense that these people are reptilian in nature. Cold. You know, no compassion. Complete, you know, just lizard, reptilian state of the brain, just out to get themselves. You know, there's no compassion or empathy there.
No, there's no love lost there, is there? They don't care about if they start a war in, I don't know, say Palestine and try and wipe out a whole nation. Or they just don't care, do they?
Anti-Semite!
Well,
Anti-Semite!
And I didn't. I've been called that before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder we get on well.
I've also been called homophobic, but I like my home. I'm not scared of it. I want to point that out.
Oh, that's good.
Great joke.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Where do bad rainbows go?
I don't know.
Light prism.
Ah, perfect.
Where they have time to reflect. Sorry, is that bad?
No, they're great. I love dad jokes, don't you? I mean, people criticize me for telling dad jokes, but I think they're still the funniest jokes.
Yeah,
Definitely the best.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, back to serious stuff. So
we're starting a group action now.
Oh yeah.
So I'll make a little plug in for what are they called? Oh God, what are they called? The UK Fluoride Freedom Alliance.
Dude, if you don't know,
and also,
what kind of plug-in is that? Start again. Do the plug-in probably.
Well, their website is UK FFFA. So they've got 3 Fs. So it's UK Fluoride Freedom. I know what the F.
For fuck's sake. For fucking fuck's sake.
They've got an extra F chucked in there. So that's Joy Warren.
So UK Fluoride what?
Fluoride Free Alliance.
I was literally about to type in for fuck's sake. Fluoride.
Joy Warren is the main contact. If you look up UK Fluoride Free Alliance and also West Midlands Against Fluoride, they've got links on their website. So you can click on a link.
UK Fluoride Free Alliance.
Yeah, you can click on a link and then send an email to Joy Warren, and she will put you in touch with Celestial Chambers. And that's the main barrister who is running the case.
All right, I've got it. UKFF.
F.
Yeah, 3 Fs.
Fs.
A.org.uk.
Well done.
Oh, God, we got there. We got there in the end. I'm going to share the screen so everybody can see it as well. So, okay, so UKFFFA, call to action. We're starting legal group action and the setting up of a legal fund to challenge the UK government's intention to increase the number of people in the Northeast to become fluoridated. At the same time, we'll be challenging the legal basis of existing water fluoridation programs. So what does it mean, legal group action? What do people need to do?
What that means is that people, they need to email Joy Warren first at that email address, which is, what is it? Can you see that?
It's at wmaf@live.co.uk.
Perfect. Thank you. I knew that. They need to email.
Dude, you're rubbish at the plugging business. I think they should sack you.
Well, I'm not actually supposed to be plugging. I'm a student barrister, so I'm helping as a student with the legal side. I'm doing the solicitors' work, basically doing the paperwork and doing the research.
I think they should sack you. I think they should sack you.
Maybe they should. Yeah.
I'm joking. You're doing great.
Yeah. So we want to gather as many people as possible. So it costs a little bit, £24, 20 quid plus VAT. Sorry to all those people who are trying to avoid paying tax to the government, but we have to. And for that, we send a letter for action, which is a legal document which the government will have to respond to. And we want to have, ideally, we want tens of thousands of claimants. Should we then have to proceed to court, we would then be asking the courts to group all the claimants together into one big claim.
Okay, so how much does it cost for an individual to sign up? And
£24.
All right, let's
Not
do it.
Not too bad. £6 if you're in hardship. That's £5 plus VAT.
Okay.
Yeah. So
do I qualify as hardship?
Well, maybe not. Looking round here.
Okay, but I seriously, we should do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. We have the most wonderful barrister. I think I can give her a little bit of a plug, Louisa Bagley.
She's all right.
She's amazing. She's a great barrister.
She's all right.
Yeah, and she's pretty much I have to be so careful what I say because I'm trained to be a lawyer, right? And there's certain things you can and can't say as a lawyer. But I would say she's fully supportive of the course. You can say
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Listen, I'm going to say it. So she started messaging me and saying, because we met as well, because she's representing Dr. Sarah Mahill. And I was like, when I first met her, I was like, fucking hate her. Just another lawyer pretending to be a good person. And then I spoke to her. I was like, oh, I might be wrong. And then I spoke to her again. And I was like, I think she's a good egg. Then I met her at Anna de Busserat's funeral. And I was like, oh my God, she is the real deal. I fucking love her. She's amazing. I think I can genuinely trust her. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm trusting a lawyer.
Me too. I can't trust lawyers either. They're like lizards, but this one's good.
One's good.
During the lockdown, people started ringing me and going, Zac, what the fuck are we going to, excuse me for swearing, I really don't like swearing, but what the beep are we going to do? We got to take this stupid vaccine or we lose our jobs, right? We have doctors, dentists, nurses, I don't know, care home workers, you name it, they were calling us. So I knew a couple of lawyers. I didn't know Louisa at that stage. We got together. We started holding Zooms, started getting thousands of doctors coming to our Zooms. And
thousands?
We started a campaign, Jobs Not Jabs. We ended up with 1,200 doctors and nurses on our books, and we started litigating against all the hospitals.
Wow.
And we made Sajid Javid back down. So we made them drop that mandate where they were trying to force healthcare workers to take the vaccine. And that is predominantly due to Louisa Bagley. She is one switched on, very smart, very intelligent, thinks outside the box, and she cares. That's very unusual in a lawyer to find one that cares.
Yeah. Well, amen to all of that. And that's the conclusion I've come to. So she reached out to me and said, Ahmed, this is a big problem. They're bringing this water fluoridation to the UK. Please, can you raise awareness about this? And, we talked about who I could get on. And I actually recommended, I said, I want to speak to Zac. Because I just like you. So I just like you. I knew we'd get on well. And so she obviously can't do it because she's the barrister. She can't be coming on the show to talk about it. But I do love her, and I think she's a great egg. I've actually invited her on the show, and she's going to come on.
I thought we could come on together, but she's concerned. In the States, you see lawyers on shows all the time, right? But apparently in the UK, it's a little bit frowned upon.
Yeah, no, she's going to come on, but she's not going to be talking about any active case that she's involved in. I was just going to talk to her about the legal system, life as a barrister, just generic stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. And I know she has to be careful. Like, I don't want her to get in trouble. There's not many people like her.
There's none really.
I was going to say there's no one else.
That's why I decided to train. So after that legal project where we helped all those doctors and myself, of course, I didn't want to lose my license either. That's when I thought, wow, that was fun. We worked incredibly hard. We had a team of volunteers. We worked really long hours. We had 4 or 5 lawyers helping us. And once we had that victory, that was it. I knew I had to do law.
All right, do that. I want to spend a little bit of time on this, okay? No jabs.
Jobs, not jabs, it was called.
Jobs, not jabs, this campaign. Because I never heard of this, and I don't think...
No, we're very much under the counter, aren't we? Under the cover, basically.
But I'm just saying, other people take credit for overturning the mandates, and I don't think they really did much. I'll be honest with you.
No, there was a lot of campaigns, and I think they do have an effect, because publicity is what builds pressure on governments to change their opinions, to change what they're going to do.
But tell me about what you guys were doing, because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, in long and short, it was we gathered all this doctors' and nurses' information, and then we wrote individual letters to the CEOs of hospital trusts, just pointing out, which laws we felt they were breaking, and then asking them the pertinent questions like, why do you think it's okay to discriminate?
Did any of them respond?
We got some quite funny responses from some of them. Most of them just said, we're following government policy. We're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah. Do you not find that? So, like, when I got into trouble with my hospitals, talking about the vaccines or whatever, I would say, give very detailed letters and have lots of questions like, what have I done wrong? What law have I broken? Where have I been factually incorrect? On what basis are you doing this to me? Blah, blah, blah. They would never reply. They would never answer any of my questions. It would just be generic. We revert to our original letter and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. I was like, no, I just gave you 10 questions. You've not answered any of them. And I've heard this again and again. They never, ever respond to the issues. They just always try and circumvent it.
They just wheedle their way out of it, don't they? They don't want to answer these questions because they know they're going to incriminate themselves.
But there's a power disparity. So what I mean by that is, so say, for example, my medical director said to me, Ahmed, I've got these 5 questions I want you to answer. Like, why did you do this? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I have to respond.
That's right.
If I don't respond, Ahmed, you failed to respond to our questions, and because of that, we are now going to launch an investigation because of like not taking part in the process or being disobedient. And I then not only get into trouble for the original thing, but I now get into trouble for not engaging and not responding to them. And then they can actually use that to just punish me even more. But flip it the other way around, they can ignore me. They don't have to answer anything. They can do whatever they like, and there's no repercussion. And that's the power disparity, because they can they can tell me, bugger off, get out of the hospital, there's nothing you can do, but I can't do anything back to them.
That's the tyranny of the world these days, isn't it? Those in power can do what they want and expect you to behave like a saint whilst they act like a prostitute or whatever.
So what other funny responses did you get from the hospitals?
God, we'll have to ask Louisa. It's a long time back in the memory banks. We also, we We also took on the International Health Regulation Amendments. So WHO were going to take over the world.
Yeah.
And I took Sajid Javid to the High Court and then to the Appeal Court.
Oh, wow.
So Sajid Javid was or the UK was sponsoring the amendments which were going to give the WHO control of the world back in 2022. And that was Louisa and I, and we got them to take it off the table.
Oh, I love you guys so much.
At the 11th hour, they took it off the table. They wrote to us on the Friday, just after 5, so that all the courts are shut, saying, we've got no case to answer, we're not doing anything wrong, but in any case, we've taken all the amendments off the table. So, we stopped the WHO from basically destroying the world.
Oh, man, I love you so much. I love you even more now.
And it was, thank you, it was again, that was a whole lot of fun to do. And the funny thing was I was doing judicial review in my law degree at the time. So I'm looking through my notes on judicial review and going, what can we use in it? And put it into the case. Yeah. And funny, but worse, ironic of all, is I then had to do my exam in judicial review and I failed that paper.
What?
Yeah, after being successful in real life, I think I was a bit too honest in my essay, which said, actually, judicial review is fundamentally flawed at the moment because you're not permitted to enter evidence into the court on a judicial review. Now, what's the point of a court without evidence?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see the point of any case, no matter who or what, if they deny evidence being looked at. Ring any bells?
Yeah, Sarah Mayo.
Oh, I can't possibly comment. But yes, I can, because it's public now, isn't it? They're not allowing her evidence. That ruling's now public, so I can say they're not allowing her evidence into the court. So how can you defend yourself? How can you stand up and be a whistleblower if you're not... Sorry, how can you stand up and be a whistleblower if you're not permitted to use your own evidence?
Right.
Like, what kind of court is that? What kind of justice is that?
I know. Kangaroo. Boing, boing.
You could say that. I can possibly comment, as they used to say.
But this is what I mean. It's a kangaroo court.
Yeah, it's a travesty. It really is.
Come and defend yourself, but you're not allowed to bring any evidence.
Yeah.
I was like,
how am I doing that then?
What?
Yeah.
And that bundle wasn't bundled properly. You're like, what? What's that got to do with anything? Like, let me bring my evidence.
Yeah.
No. Like,
computer says no, isn't it? Really?
It's complete.
It's odd.
If I had hair, in the audience, I would have been tearing out my hair. Thankfully, I don't have any. But I was just sitting there going, what the fuck?
Hi, me again. You're listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or on his Substack, or simply buy him a coffee with one of the donation links which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
This is just crazy.
Yeah, and this is where the legal system, as I was saying, has become so enamored with its own intellect and how clever it is.
But they're not.
It fails to see the point. It fails to actually see justice.
But this is the irony, that in their hubris and arrogance that they think they're so smart, they're actually so fucking stupid.
Well, yeah. I mean, their fundamental reason for being is to administer justice, and they don't.
Just totally lost the plot.
Not always, of course. Sometimes they get it right, of course. But things which are controversial to the governments, they seem to skirt around. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So what I'm really happy about is I'm sitting opposite someone who not only is an awake and holistic dentist, but is also now awake and ethical, honest lawyer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's my hope. I don't see that the legal system will change overnight, but I do have hope that we could influence the legal systems to become better. I mean, am I allowed to say that? Better, fairer, more just? It should be.
But you're an example of what we need in this country. So when people say, what do? We need to, what can we do? They're all like, we can all do something, and you've done something. So you've looked at the system, you think it's rubbish, there's not enough good people out there fighting the fight, A lot of people are just captured, part of the beast system. Do you know what? I'm going to quit being a dentist. I've got a cozy number. I've got a secure job, good salary. I'm going to go and learn, go do another degree, and take on a new career at my very advanced age. I'm joking. You know, you're mid-50s, and start all over again and jump into the fight. I mean, that's pretty freaking ballsy and cool.
I think if we don't do...
Was this your midlife crisis or something?
Oh, I've had loads of those. But don't you think that if you don't do what's right when you get the urge, then what does the old adage say? Evil succeeds, right? All it takes for evil to succeed is for good men and good women to do nothing.
Exactly.
It doesn't take a great deal. No one needs to go and become a lawyer or a holistic dentist or anything like that, but it doesn't take a great deal to just to speak to your neighbours and say, you know what, I think that's a load of rubbish. You know, the whatever, the sewage in the drinking water, for example. I mean, sewage in our drinking water, we are totally third world now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We got no money for the courts, no money for the hospitals, we got no money for the roads, no money for the sewage, but we can send bombs to wherever we want in the world. We've got billions of squids over, haven't we, to bomb whatever country is next in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Do you know what I found? Just talking about bombs, what I found crazy was like when, you know, Iran launched some bombs against Israel and last year, and there was like, oh, they were intercepting. And this is a retaliation after Israel had assassinated Iranians and stuff. So Iran's now launched some bombs over to Israel, and they're all targeting military facilities. So unlike Israel, they weren't targeting civilian. It was just their military airfield bases and whatnot. And our politicians were like, yes, and our, you know, whatever airplanes intercepted so many of these bombs. And I was like, so hold on 1 second. Another country, nothing to do with us, is attacking another country that we should have nothing to do with, and is targeting only their military facilities. But we have intervened and stopped those bombs from hitting the runway and tarmac or whatever. But we are giving bombs to this country, Israel, to bomb civilians, and we're not intervening. Our planes aren't stopping those bombs. We're just watching it happen, recording it and filming it and saying, yeah, great, here's more bombs to do that. How do we get to this position? And like, what is going on here?
Well, I just felt so deeply sad with the war in Palestine.
It's not even a war.
I won't call it Gaza because it is a war against a nation. It's a war against Palestine. I was so deeply sad that virtually no politicians had the balls, the boobs, the backbone to stand up and just say, can we have peace? Can we stop this? And anyone who did was, I think one chap was chucked out of the cabinet, wasn't he, for doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's our world come to?
Not Liberal Democrats, not Labour,
no,
not Reform Party, not Conservatives.
No, nobody's saying,
nobody.
Stop killing innocent people, stop the genocide. Where is the common sense? Where's the humanity gone out of Parliament? Is there any left?
No, but they're all friends of Israel, so that's all right.
I couldn't possibly comment on that either, but
it's a lobbying. It's a lobbying.
Lobbying is the end of our democracy. Parliament is essentially not fit for purpose anymore. The moment you let lobbyists tackle politicians and offer them money for whatever it be, for putting sewage in the sea or for putting fluoride in the water or for
sending bombs
overseas, then those politicians lose their independence. It's simple as that. They lose their independence, and then we have tyranny. We have big business maneuvering government, and that's what's going on.
That is what's going on right now as we speak.
Yeah, and it needs to end. It can stop. It really can. The politicians just need to grow a pair. That's it.
But the thing is, I don't even think this political system that we have is even fit for purpose. But even if it's working at its best. So, for example, what I mean by that, say you've got no lobbyists, right? And you've just got political parties. I don't like the party system because the moment you have a political party, your loyalty is to the party, not your constituent. And we can see that.
Yeah.
You know, because if you do literally what's right for your local constituents and it goes against the party, you lose your whip. You get whipped into line. to vote a certain way. So this whole idea that democratic representation is bullshit, because ultimately it's party loyalty. So even if you have no lobbyists, the problem is you have parties that you're loyal to, not your actual constituent. So really what you should have is representatives coming from your community to go somewhere, and they are wholly accountable to us. And if we don't like them, we can actually recall them, replace them, get rid of them, and it's a fixed tenure. And it's almost like a burden that you have to go and serve, like, jury service. Like, you don't want to be the representative that goes down to the houses. Do you see what I mean? It's like, oh, for God's sake, it's my turn this year. Like, it shouldn't be like, I want to make a career out of this. No. It's like a duty and a service. It's a burden that you have to do, a responsibility. And there's no party system, because then you have party loyalties. And the other thing is, it should be a system where, actually, you know what? How many acts of legislation are there? Like, literally tens of thousands. How many get passed every year? We don't need that shit. It should literally be, I should be allowed to do whatever I want as long as I don't harm someone else and their property. Just leave me the F alone. If I want to do something and I'm not harming anyone else or their property, just leave me alone. Let me do it. But we have so many laws and legislations and acts and rules.
Yeah, and the problem with the legislation...
It's not necessary.
Yeah, the problem with Parliament at the moment, the way they pass legislation, it's not actually in line with our Constitution. Because what they'll do, they'll argue like the outline of an act, but the detail they'll put in the regulations once it's passed through both houses of Parliament.
Wow.
So the detail is added later. And we all know with the law, what is in the detail? The devil.
Yes.
Exactly. So they're passing laws.
And who writes it? Like, all these documents, do you think these thick politicians are the ones that are actually sitting down and writing all that stuff? I don't think so.
I don't think they have the capacity or the intellect to do so. No. And I think that's the main problem now, really. You've got a bunch of
this is what
uneducated people sat in power who don't have the intelligence to write good law, and they don't understand, or perhaps they do, that by allowing the detail to go into regulation after it's passed through Parliament, they're creating a very, very dangerous world where secretaries of state can change the law by changing regulation with very little parliamentary scrutiny.
But it's not even the Secretary of State.
Or whoever.
So this is the thing. So who is writing these acts of legislation, detailed papers and documents, thousands of pages? It's not I've met quite a few politicians, as, through Brexit Party, campaigning against the vaccines, and even people who've come to me as patients. Because I had a Central London clinic, so I had politicians. I'm telling you right now, mate, they're not highbrow. Like, they don't know much about anything. Like, it's crazy. They're very vacuous. It's all about persona, image, getting attention, and that's it, really. They're very hollow. So they're not writing these documents and acts, and you kind of wonder then who is, and who is funding them, and who was it? Was it Dominic Cummings talking about like what it was like, cabinet meetings? All the cabinet ministers would come, walk down 10 Downing Street, get pictures taken with the little briefcases, but they'd been given a script from their civil servants. They would sit around the table, and each of them would play out, like actors, their script. They would read out, right, today we're going to discuss this and this, and I think Mr. A has got a comment to make. Mr. A would look at his briefcase. Yes, I have a comment. Yeah, my comment is this. And then Mr. B or Mrs. C is going to respond, and they've been given a script. So they're having this little wee act go on. And all the civil servants, the deep state, are like, yep, great, you're on track. Right, great, give us the papers back. Good, bye, off you go. And if anyone ever went off track and made a comment that was not scripted, it was like, we've got a rogue agent. And then they would come down and say, like, why did you say that? Who told you to say that? This is not what you're meant to say. So what I'm trying to say is, even our politicians are now literally mere actors. It's the civil servants who are deciding everything, deciding the agendas, what is done, what is said, what is discussed, and what is passed, what is implemented. This whole idea that we have democracy and our prime minister and his cabinet or her cabinet are making all the decisions and they represent us, complete baloney.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's shocking.
Couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. You're absolutely. I think you're totally spot on. Were you raised on yes minister and yes prime minister?
Yes.
It's all in there, right?
It's all in
Civil
there.
service. They don't get voted in, they don't get voted out. They're in for life, right?
Or until they get appointed
To some nice,
a massive organization, classic example, Nick Clegg.
Facebook.
Dude, he literally comes out of one door into Facebook, world operations for what was his job? Communications or something?
Something like that.
How much did he get paid for that?
More than I get, that's for sure.
Well, look it up. But it's just crazy. I mean, we don't live in a democratic country.
No,
it's very worrying. Right.
Very true.
All right, I'm going to find out how much he gets paid at Facebook. Dude, oh my God.
How much?
Are you joking?
How much?
So, okay, right. So basically, in 2018, Nick Clegg's salary and net worth, 2025 perspective, it doesn't really say anything. How much did he get paid at Meta? Oh, estimates suggest his total package. It was initially reported that he was earning £500,000 a year. He was promoted to president for global affairs. I mean, what does that even mean? Estimates suggest his total package, including salary, bonuses, and stock options, could range between $2 million and $10 million per year. In late 2018, Clegg purchased a $7 million mansion in Atherton, California. He retains a £2 million townhouse in southwest London. Net worth suggests he's somewhere between 25 to 35 million pounds. What do you think of that, dude?
Is it any wonder that social media companies have carte blanche to do what they want with us? And now, after that online safety act, that you could basically face jail if you cause offence to someone.
That's gone ahead, yeah?
That's gone through, yeah. So I think you could face up to 18 months in jail for saying something which somebody finds offensive.
So not even about them, but just because someone else found it offensive.
Whether it's true or not. It's insane, right? So we have...
so someone's listening to this podcast finds it offensive.
Yeah. Our fundamental freedoms are really at risk. And I bet I would say, Nick Clegg taking a large chunk of cash from Facebook might have something to do with that. It's depressing, isn't it? But on the plus side, there's people like you who got the balls who say, yeah, let's just say it as it is. We should be able to speak the truth, no matter what. It doesn't matter if someone finds it offensive. So what?
Exactly. So it's not my problem that someone else has found what I've said offensive. I'm not responsible for other people's feelings. But we've gone into this world where that's what's happened now. Like, you hurt my feelings. No, I didn't. You let it hurt you. Like, if you don't like it, don't listen.
Yeah, I mean,
switch off. Go away.
Yeah, I mean, even saying that face masks don't work, somebody could find that upsetting. Even though it's true, you've said it true, and you can back up what you said. You could possibly face prosecution.
But it's that bigger war now, isn't it? That where truth and objectivity don't matter. It's all about subjectivity. It's all about my truth.
Yeah.
And it's like
it's 1984,
feelings.
Isn't it? It is the Department of Truth. They've got a Department of Misinformation. Yeah, it's coming unless we stop it. We don't have to put up with it.
All right, listen, go back to fluoride and dentistry, right? What made you go, right, I'm not going to be a mainstream dentist and give fluoride and do all and put in mercury fillings and stuff like that? Like, throughout dentistry school, were you like thinking this is just really weird, or did you have a wake up moment?
Day one at dental school, and when I was 18 in Cardiff, we had a lecture which sticks in my mind. They said there was a couple of things we won't be doing in 20 years' time. One of them was mercury fillings. One of them was injections for local anesthetics, and another one was X-rays. And they had alternatives for all three of those right then.
Oh, wow.
So they had a little miniature TENS machine you could put in the mouth to numb the teeth, so you didn't need an injection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently quite effective, but obviously there's lots of money if you've got to put in millions and millions of these injections every day worldwide. Should I talk about graphene at that point?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, all my patients ask me about graphene and the injections. I test my local anesthetic against my heart flame, and there's one particular anesthetic which feels okay, which feels good. I've got...
No, hold on a second. You test it against your heart flame?
Yeah.
That sounds very woo-woo.
Okay, so... can
I just stop you here?
Can I segue into that again?
Yeah, okay, go for it.
So, I went to a seminar in Auckland, and in the Hilton Hotel in Auckland, 2006, it was, 9th of September, I think it was. I walked into this room, and there was this beautiful man there in a Hawaiian shirt, and he had a halo. I don't normally see auras. He had a halo. I kept looking, going like, "You got a halo? What the hell?" I'm not joking. And long story short, he said there was a flame in your heart, and I didn't believe him at all, not one bit of it. And we did this little process, kind of like a breathing exercise with some chi, violet fire. And he said to me, "Zac, keep breathing. It might be painful, but keep breathing." And I was like, "How does he know I've got pain in my heart?" And then there was a bursting sensation, an absolute sublime bliss, absolute bliss. And much to my astonishment, a little flickering flame. And if you look in the old pictures of Jesus and Mary in the Catholic churches, they've got flames in their hearts. And they hide things right under our noses.
I've seen it. The flaming heart. I know what you're talking about.
It's true. We have a literal flame in our hearts. Everyone. It's what keeps you warm. It's what. So it's in the left atrium of your heart. It's not the sinoatrial node thing. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that. But it's separate. It's a flame. It's a spark of divinity. It's the true you.
Really?
It's the true you. It's the true us. It's what we really are. And this is an age where they are terrified that we're going to start to use that flame. So I can give an example of when I've used that flame. In Trafalgar Square in, I think that was September 2020. So I think it was this third lockdown rally.
Yeah.
The police came in on a horseback, truncheons drawn.
Yeah.
And started beating the crap out of the crowd. This is in England, in London, a place I thought was free, where there were doctors, nurses. I think there was even a lawyer speaking. I mean, fair enough, a lawyer was speaking, so that did deserve the full hitting round the head with the police. That deserved it, but joking aside. But in the middle of this melee, so we've got a big crowd, police are charging at everyone, truncheons drawn, beating the crap out of people. They're on their horseback as well. The crowd are kind of terrified, but chanting at them, "Choose your side, choose your side." They got really quiet. And, like in the movies, everything just went really quiet. Through that heart flame, I reached up into my own higher self, and I called to Archangel Michael. And there was a massive wave of energy swept through Trafalgar Square, and the police withdrew. And this is something that everyone can do, and this is what they're terrified of at this moment in time. More than anything, they're terrified that we will wake up truly spiritually, not woo-woo spiritually, but truly spiritually.
Are you religious?
No, not at all.
Why, what angel? Archangel?
Archangel Michael?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know this, but as Michael Caine would say, in case you didn't get an impersonation, not a lot of people know this. George Lucas's mother-in-law had her third eye open, and she could see angels with swords, flaming swords, like lightsabers. And that's where he got the idea from for Star Wars, for lightsabers.
Really?
Really, really. Yeah. So the angels, they do carry swords. Archangel Michael's angels do. They basically carry lightsabers. We live in this weird,
So,
we do live in this weird, almost living hologram, right?
did I tell you I took some, coming back to the hologram in a second, did I tell you I took some psilocybin last December?
Ooh, what is psilocybin?
Magic mushroom.
Okay, great.
Never drunk alcohol, never taken any drugs, never smoked. And then suddenly I went on a massive trip.
Right.
And I traveled through space and time.
Wow.
And it felt like 10 years. My body left my physical body. It was still connected, tethered. But I went into the universe cosmos. And I found the frequency and consciousness, the God consciousness. And I joined it. And I was like a separate frequency. I was worried that I would just dissolve away. But I didn't dissolve away. I just felt like I came home.
Wow.
And I've never felt, I've got goosebumps right now. Just
Me
thinking
too.
about,
My hair's on end.
I've got goosebumps.
It's true. What you were saying is totally true.
I felt, seriously, I was just, ooh. See, goosebumps.
Me too.
And I was terrified.
Hair's on end.
Yep. I felt so scared because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to disappear. I don't want to become nothing. But I didn't. I just became part of a much bigger whole. And I felt so much love and so much bliss and so much peace, so much happiness. I didn't want to leave. It felt amazing. And I realized I was part of God now, bigger God. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm God, but no. Much bigger, much bigger. And I was just this tiny thread of the much bigger God. And it was just pure love. Love. It was incredible. And at that point, I realized this is what I think Jesus was talking about. He was talking about we all are part of God. We are all have God within us. This idea that we're human and just inferior. And no. It's like God was this huge, massive mainframe computer. And then he created these subset mini computers within himself. And these mini subcomputers are us. And we all think we're independent, but we're actually still part of that bigger mainframe computer, but we've just been hived off. We've been separated and cut off and allowed to do our own little thing. And that's free will and choice. And some of us do stupid things and some of us do good things. But eventually we will all go back to that big mainframe. That's what I think we are. And I think we are consciousness. And after that psilocybin event, I'm no longer scared of death. Like if someone said to me, oh, you know what, I'm going to torture you, I'm going to kill you tomorrow. Even my children, believe it or not, even my children, if they said we're going to kill your children, you know what, honestly, it sounds a bit crazy. I don't care.
No, death is one of the most beautiful things you can ever do. I got a sandwich from a delicatessen in the New Forest. I was out picking conkers with my son. Got home, lived in Lymington at the time, so it was like a 5-minute drive. Felt a bit queasy. Before I knew it, I was throwing up everywhere and then collapsed on the floor. And I did that whole float above your body thing.
Yeah.
Looked down on my body, shot off upwards, similar to what you would have had. Went into this gorgeous building and facing me at the end of this huge room, sat behind a desk, was this woman, which is made out of liquid crystal light. And she was maybe, I don't know, 1,000 feet tall. Huge.
Wow.
And she loved me like I've never felt anything before. So it was just so beautiful.
I've got goosebumps
So beautiful. We're so loved. And somehow we've become separated from that.
Yes.
We've become... somehow, I don't know how it happened, but who cares? But there is a way back, and it is through the flame in your heart. It really is.
Well, you know what?
So this flame, you can expand and shoot up through the pineal gland, fluoride again, out the crown chakra, and up through that silver cord. You said you were connected?
Yeah.
Yeah, to your own higher self. Your higher self is, I don't know, it may be 50, 60, 100, 200 feet tall, maybe 1,000 feet tall, I don't know. It's only just above us, physically and kind of energetically at the same time. And you can reach into your own God presence. And that God presence is one. It's like a huge field around the world, or the universe. So we're all part of that God field, and yet individual. It's kind of, I can't really explain it any other way, really. So we're all literally one. We're one being, we're one person, we're one We're all part of that same energy field that you felt and experienced.
100%.
That's us.
Yeah.
So
And I
all
think
these wars and fighting and all this,
it's ridiculous.
ripping people off or whatever, it's all just hurting ourselves every time. Time for a sea change. But yeah, going back to that Trafalgar Square experience, that showed to me exactly how much power we can wield, and we can literally change the world. We don't have to wait for long. And that's what they're terrified of. That's what the other side is terrified of.
You know, I had the same conversation yesterday with someone called Brad Miller, previous guest. He went on a psilocybin trip recently. He said the same thing. He said, Ahmed, after listening to you, he's in the States, Colorado or Texas or somewhere. And he said, and when I told him I'm not scared of death, I said, because I know, like, this is nothing. This is just a meat suit. It's a temporary meat suit.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's what they're terrified of. Can you imagine if everyone felt like this? If everyone connected with the consciousness? If everyone realized who they were and what their potential were? And they weren't going to get bossed around by idiots telling us, do this and do that. If enough of us elevated into that level of being, that's it. Game over for them. They have to suppress all of this. They have to keep us dumbed down, distracted, constantly not realizing what incredible, infinite, immortal beings that we actually are.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
it.
I couldn't put it any better. We have the right and the ability to stay blissful all the time. All the time. Not easy, of course. Anyone who's got teenagers will find it very, very challenging. If we stay in that bliss, then, the world just suddenly becomes amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't it Einstein said that? Everything can be either explained by science and mathematics, or it can just be amazing.
Yeah.
And wondrous.
Right, you were going to tell me about how you started questioning dentistry.
Oh.
Can we stop? I need to pee.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Can we do a pee break?
Yeah, totally.
And then we'll carry on. You're not in a rush anywhere, are you?
Not particularly.
I'm enjoying this conversation. Are
Me too.
you enjoying it?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Right, hold on. Let's go. Recording. Yeah. All right. God, I really needed to wee. Seriously. Do you know, I've watched, on safari, some of these wild buffaloes and stuff, giraffes wee, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of wee. I felt like that too. I was like, God, is this ever going to stop? I know you're waiting downstairs for me. I feel embarrassed this wee's taking so long. He's probably thinking I'm doing a number 2 now. I'm not. It's still a number 1. That was what was going through my head.
There's nothing better, though, is there? I don't think there's nothing better on planet Earth than a long wee. A really, really good long wee. It's one of the best things. Never mind your magic mushrooms or whatever, out of body experiences.
That's so funny. So
Good pee.
So during that magic mushroom thing, it's 6-7 hours, right? I'm under this deep trance. And I get up and I'm like, I feel like I need to wee now, but I was still a bit out of it. And Josh, the space holder, was like, I'll come down with you and don't make sure you're okay. I'm like, all right, okay. I'm seeing funny, nice things. And then he goes, I'm just going to wait outside and wait for you. And he goes, this is going to be the best wee of your life. And he was right. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So it's worth trying the magic mushrooms for that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know what I was thinking? Once you've mastered being a lawyer, you should try being a podcaster.
Yeah, I love chatting to people. I think
you'd be good.
That's the one thing I really, well, not the one thing, but one of the things I love about my job as a homeopath and as a holistic dentist. It's just having a good old chin wag with people, because people, they're so interesting, aren't they? People have the best stories to tell. You just would never believe it from looking at, never judge a book by a cover kind of thing. But they do have the best stories. I love it.
And everyone's got a story.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, no exceptions. Yeah, really, everyone's got something magical that they're perhaps hiding or not proud of, or they don't shout it from the rooftops.
And you know what? Some of my best guests, most of my best guests, are nobodies like you. No, I'm just joking.
I am a nobody. I like being a nobody.
No, I take that back. That was a joke, by the way. What?
I do. I love being a nobody. It doesn't matter to me at all.
Nobody is a nobody.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be famous. That's not what I'm about.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that some of my best guests are people who are really like, when you... Oh God, I'm not very good at this, am I? I was going to say when you pull up a rock and there's all these creepy crawlies, like, what? Now I'm comparing you to a bug. What I'm trying to say is like, some of the people that are the most well-known, I just found like, do you know what? They're a bit stale. They go around saying the same thing everywhere. Some of them are controlled opposition. Some of them are just narcissists. Some of the people are full of ego. Some of the people are really quite inauthentic. Like who they are in front of you is very different behind. Like you haven't changed. Like for all the times I've met you and now in the house here, you're the same person. I like that. I like when just someone's just being themselves, and people like you, like your story, you're amazing. Like you're this awake dentist, the campaigns that you've been on, now you're fighting this campaign fluoridation. But you're not on BBC TV or Channel 4 or whatever. Like you're not on the Guardian newspaper. But here I am. I got to get you on my show, and the world gets to hear about the flame of the heart, and it's fascinating, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you start seeing the flames everywhere. They're in the fleur de lis. You know the symbol.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, tell me.
Yeah, look up the fleur de lis. So it's basically free feathers or free leaves, or in actual fact, free flames. Because the flame in your heart is composed of free flames. It's composed of.
Yeah, I've got it. It's like that French.
Yeah, so you see that
chivalry
symbol everywhere. So they hid the truth in plain sight everywhere, all around the world. I think it's sort of like a cat likes to play with a mouse. And they like to toy with their food, don't they? So, so the threefold flame is a very, very, very real thing. Everyone's got one.
Flaming heart.
Yeah. It's interesting. Dolphins the flame in the heart is responsible for the temperature of the body, right? Because I don't think medicine can explain the temperature of the body, how it regulates temperature. Did you learn about that?
No. What do you say that again?
So your body temperature is regulated by the flame in your heart. So, for example, when you get a fever, the flame gets a little bit bigger and burns off any infection in the blood.
So, when you say flame, are you talking about metaphorically, symbolically?
A literal flame.
Literal flame.
Literal flame, and
How?
The flame is you. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Is anybody able to see it or visualize it or measure it? Like,
I believe there's a hospital in Switzerland where one of the surgeons noted if he did surgery on that part of the left atrium, the patient would die. And there's a spot on the heart which is particularly hot, and that's where the flame is.
Really?
Yeah, really, really. I don't know if that's published or if that's just people have passed it on through word of mouth. Really, really. Because they say we keep our body warm by muscle contractions and things like this, don't they?
Yeah.
And yet it doesn't really make sense because we stay pretty much the same temperature if we go for a run or if we sit on the sofa.
Wow. I've got thermal images of the heart up now.
Ah.
It's fascinating.
Is there a hot spot?
Well, yeah. But I don't know. Thermal image person. Yeah. I'll show you afterwards. I need to get a screen where I can pop up here where we can both see what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody wants to sponsor me and get me a nice MacBook screen, plug in.
Put it out there, yes.
Put it out in the universe.
Doc Malik needs a screen. It will help everyone out there to understand what he's looking at. Come on. Someone give him a screen out there. So
you think that might just be our soul?
Sort of. Yeah. I think it's, yeah, I'm not really sure, how the soul, or what people define as the soul.
Well, there's so many things, right? Like, so for example, like when someone's looking at you from behind.
Sure.
And you turn around. What's that all about? Yeah. You know someone's looking at you.
Yeah.
And you look, and it could be like literally 50 yards away, 100 yards. How's that possible? Or.
Because everything is energy.
And then another thing.
So if someone's looking at you, they're pouring energy at you, and you can feel it.
I'll give you, and it's other strange thing. So a friend of mine, I was like driving. Suddenly his name and face popped up in my head. I went, I haven't spoken or messaged him for about 3 months. I feel bad about this. So, when I stopped driving and pulled up, where I was going, it wasn't very exciting, supermarket. I went, I love you. I miss you, brother. Just because I felt like telling him that. And then he messaged me back saying, oh my God, I need your help.
Wow.
I need an MRI for my elbow. And I'm like,
my hair's on end again. Yeah.
And he was like, I was thinking of messaging you, Ahmed. Oh my God, perfect timing. And this was this week. Another one, a guy, I remembered, like, I haven't spoken to him. He messaged me about a month ago. I need to get back to him. I'm just so busy. I feel so bad. And again, I went, I love you, brother. I'm sending you a big hug. He messaged me back and goes, oh, dude, thank you so much. My wife has just had a stroke. She's just come out of ICU. But I felt like I needed to send him that hug. And then we obviously rang the phone and we chatted. Oh, mate, it's so good to hear from you. Oh, thank you for that message. It means a lot right now. And then he started telling me about his wife. And it was almost like I had to message and reach out to him. These things happen to me all the time. Do you know what I mean? Does this sound a bit weird? It sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't sound at all weird. It happens. Yeah, me too.
The synchronicity or whatever.
You have that feeling, and that's your presence telling you to. I am presence is what you want to look up. You want to look up, if you want to look at something, Guy Ballard and the Magic Presence. It's the most, or one of the most wonderful books you'll ever get a chance to read. Recommend it to everyone.
The Magic Presence. Okay, got it, yeah.
Guy Ballard, who's around in the 30s.
1930s?
Yeah.
That long ago?
Uh-huh. Yeah. The book's amazing. It will change your world.
Really?
Totally change your world. There should be like an image of the I am presence.
There's like a guy's elevated with light and a halo around him.
Yeah, can you see that beam of light that goes up to the higher self?
Yes.
That's the cord you're connected to into your physical body. So the higher self is the real you. That's the magic presence or the I am presence. That's
Really?
the real you. And a tiny spark of that presence is anchored in your heart. And that's what animates the physical body.
It's not a very big book. It's only like 66 pages or something.
Should be a bit longer. Should be a couple hundred pages, I think.
All right, okay.
There's hundreds.
Oh, no, you're right. 412 pages. Oh, it's quite a big book.
There's quite a few. I think he wrote 3 or 4 books, maybe. First 3 books are the best.
The Magic Presence.
Yeah.
And there's another one, I Am.
The I Am Discourses, yeah. If it's written by him, that's great. And then Unveiled Mysteries was the first one.
Godfrey Ray King.
Godfrey Ray King.
Yeah, that's him as well. Is that him as well?
Yeah, that was his nom de plume.
Oh, no, that's editor and by Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
By the Ascended Master. What's that all about?
Well, now we're going off piece completely into Ascended Masters.
Is Godfrey Ray King still alive?
No. He passed over, I think, in the 40s, 1940s.
Okay.
Yeah. It changed the life, that book.
Really?
The Magic Presence. I recommend it to everyone to read it. It's life-changing. It will open up ideas and give you 1,001 questions. All to do with how you...
Dude, I've got so many books as well. And,
Yeah, put those to one side. I read that one first.
Okay.
It's a great book. Honestly, it'll change your life. It really will change your world because it opens up this concept of what we truly are. A divine being in a human flesh body.
What is the purpose of life?
Yeah, to become one with our divine higher self. In other words, through love, basically, to learn love, to learn whatever, compassion, kindness, all aspects of love.
Do you love all the evil, bad people?
That's a very difficult one to answer, isn't it? No, they make me very angry. And I don't think that Jesus or some other avatars were any different. He was a bit upset with them, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
I mean, he threw them out of the temple and the money changers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
That's not very, like, passive.
Yeah, it's not passive.
It sounds like he's got a bit of a...
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I say. Yeah, why not? Yeah. I don't think you should be dwelling on hating them or being angry with them because you just get sick, right? I remember in lockdown, I got really sick with my joints, were really achy. And that was the resentment of being told to stay home. Yeah, so I don't know, did you get unwell during that bit? I mean, I was seething with anger that they were doing this.
I was angry as well.
Locking us in our homes, telling us couldn't hug my mum, my grandmother. Yeah, just so unfair. Just so totally illogical, wasn't it?
Okay, back to dentistry.
Dentistry.
So you didn't buy into the fillings and the fluoride toothpaste right from the beginning? You're skeptical of that?
No, I was a conventional dentist for a couple of decades, I think, basically. Nearly or just under a couple of decades.
So what made you change?
We were told that mercury fillings were going to be phased out in 1980. 1988 when I started dentistry, dental school. And I just knew that there was something wrong with them. So I would do them for a couple of years or a couple of months, and then I wouldn't do them, and I would do them, and I wouldn't do them.
Why?
And then, something just was telling me, no, don't do them.
Were you told anything about mercury and its toxicity? And did you know anything about this? Again, back to the lectures.
Oh, what is the lecture? It's locked in the amalgam according to the dentist, so it can't leak. And if it did leak, it's in minute quantities, so it can't hurt you. Okay. Wow. Perhaps that's not quite right. Perhaps because it's a forever chemical. So minute quantity one day, fine. But minute quantity 10 years, 20 years.
And you get vapors, don't you? From the
they give off vapors the whole time. More if they give off more vapors when you chew, when you have a hot drink, if you're exposed to Wi-Fi, those kind of technologies.
Really?
Yeah, release more mercury. Yeah. So, and I came across a holistic dentist on the internet, and then I was living in New Zealand at the time. When I came home, I reached out to all the holistic dentists. I emailed them all and said, "Look, what's this holistic dentistry? How do I learn that?" 2 of them replied out of about 10 or 20 I wrote to, and I ended up working with one and just shadowing another one, and it became apparent what they were doing was changing people's lives. So they had people with arthritis who were recovering after having their amalgams removed, people with psoriasis recovering, people with depression recovering. I've had people recover from all kinds of diseases.
Do you think this was just because of the metal mercury toxicity?
Yeah, I think some people are particularly sensitive. So like my girls can't wear cheap jewelry. That's what they tell me anyway. Can I have the expensive one, Daddy? Yes. Because they're allergic to the nickel. Right? Yeah. So they're sensitive to nickel. I think some people are very sensitive to those metals in those fillings.
Yeah.
And they get dramatic results when they have those fillings removed. So, example, the boss's mum came in with a primary tremor. So like Parkinson's, shaking like this. She sat on my chair with a Scotty dog on her lap and had 12 or 14 fillings removed.
Wow.
Next, she went through the war, so for her, it was nothing. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? You want them all in one go? She said, yeah. I went through the war. No problem. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, next day, no primary tremor. No tremor. All gone.
Wow.
Like next day. Yeah. And I've seen the same with psoriasis and, like I say, depression. Angina. I had a chap with very, very bad and acute angina. There's that joke, isn't there?
No.
There is. The lady who goes to see the doctor. You've got acute angina, madam. Oh, thank you, but what's wrong with my heart?
Oh, cute. Okay.
Old ones are the best ones. He had his amalgams out. Next day, no angina.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I haven't got a single filling.
I've had pilots tell me that they failed their medical because their blood pressure is too high. And then they were told by the doctor, there must have been a learned doctor, go and get your mercury fillings removed. And sure enough, their blood pressure's gone down.
So multiple effects, basically, and benefits.
Yeah, because you cause oxidative stress. So back to fluoride and various other toxins, they cause this stress on the body, and that drives inflammation, and inflammation we know drives all chronic diseases. Simple as that. So you get the same with Wi-Fi, that causes oxidative stress, and then that drives all diseases. Same with mercury fillings, same with fluoride, same with pesticides. They all drive this inflammatory process in the body which causes disease. You name it, it causes it. Diabetes, heart disease, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they all have that same factor in common, is oxidative stress.
Okay, wow. Okay, so then you practice holistically, and you did homeopathy as well?
Yeah, I trained to be a homeopath, predominantly because I'd been out cycling across Exmoor, came home, and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see out my eyes. I was like, that hay fever was really bad.
Yeah.
My eyes were shut. And I popped into the chemist and said, what have you got for that? And they went, well, there's this homeopathic stuff. And it was tissue salts. The Schussler tissue salts. They're like they're halfway between homeopathy and the actual mineral. So they're cell salts or Schussler tissue salts. Took one of those pills. I could breathe. Suddenly I was like, wow, I could breathe. What happened?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that kind of got me convinced. Then my dog had the mange. So I had a Labrador puppy. Bless her, she just passed over.
Sorry.
Yeah. That was such a big wrench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I love her so much.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool.
If I lost my cats or chickens, it would gut me.
Yeah. And there was a big rainbow when she died anyway, so it was good. And she died with her boots on, like every Labrador should die. So she couldn't walk anymore, and she was incontinent, and she'd had a couple of strokes, and she was in a bad way. I knew it was her time. So we made her a whole pack of sausages, and then she had a sausage roll, and then she died eating beef jerky. So she was eating while she passed over.
Oh,
so
God,
every Labrador's dream, right? Died and went to heaven, literally.
Oh, man.
Like literally.
I wonder, do animals and pets go to heaven? Are they part of the greater consciousness?
Yeah, because every warm-blooded creature has a flame in their heart. That's why they're warm. So dolphins have the same body temperature as us.
No way.
Interesting, eh?
Shut up.
Yeah, more or less. I think maybe a fraction different, but yeah, more or less.
What about dogs and cats?
Yeah, I don't know about them, but dogs are just pure love, aren't they? And cats. Well, cats are sort of love with strings attached, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing either. My cats are lovely.
Yeah.
One of my cats is like a dog.
Oh, really?
Oh, she comes up to me and follows me around and boops me. I'm surprised she's not here right now, meowing at the window, let me in.
Oh,
she sits on my lap.
Yeah.
It's just, she's adorable.
I'm a massive fan. I absolutely love cats. I've got a ginger Tom at home. He's just such a character. He became a bit of an addict, though, to the catnip. So he would go hang out by the front door, and we live on like a main road, so going into the shops in the middle of Somerset. And people would just feed him Dreamies.
Oh, God.
And those Licky Lick yogurts. So they got catnip in them.
All right.
He's really sensitive to the catnip, and he gets totally stoned. So he would sleep on the street outside my house, and people thought he was just a stray cat. And they started a Facebook group for him. And he's got about 400 or 500 followers. I don't do Facebook, obviously, but he's got loads of followers. And one day when he was totally stoned, a car ran him over and broke his leg. And I never had so many messages from people. They were saying like, I bring my grandchildren down every Saturday to see him. We feed him on the church wall. It's like people coming from all over to feed him and to look after him.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. Lovely little boy. He's so nice. Yeah.
Dude, can I ask you something?
Yes.
We've talked about fluoride and stuff. Again, people need to join this campaign.
Oh, yes.
Right.
You're going to ask me for the website again, aren't you?
No. I'll put it in the show notes.
It's the UK Fluoride Free Alliance and also the West Midlands Against Fluoride.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Oh, no, there's more. Go on.
No, it wasn't that. Yeah, we'll do all that. It's on the show notes. Talking about death and everything, you really hit me when you said to me inside that you lost your wife.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was. heart-wrenching. And you had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Youngest was only 6.
Uh-huh.
Dude, my little boy's 6. The idea of losing my wife today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not easy. Bringing up those kids, being there for them. Dude, I'm sending you so much love right now.
Thank
and
you.
Respect, because that's not easy to do that.
No, it broke me. It really did. She was the love of my life, my wife. I'm going to cry now if you'd say that.
Dude, no.
But,
that's how I feel about my wife.
You know,
Your soulmate.
She beat cancer once. So the first time she had a breast lump, she had a boob removed. No question. She said, I'm having it off. I was like, oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, I didn't know anything about anything. Second time, I knew a bit more about natural health, and she beat it naturally using various substances, and recovered really well. Did some juicing, and she took a few bits and bobs, and she got well. And the third time when it came back, I was begging her, please, please take this Ambritose.
Ambritose?
Ambritose, you can look it up. It's a slightly altered aloe vera molecule. So there's a bunch of naturopaths in Texas who set up this company. They sat down, they prayed, and they asked for a solution to cancer. And they'd employed this scientist to look at the aloe vera molecule and try and isolate the active ingredient. Well, he couldn't isolate it, but he did triple its molecular weight after they'd prayed. And it basically switches on the cell-to-cell receptors. And I don't know about you, when I was at med school, dental school.
Ambrotose, Ambrotose.
Yeah, so it switches on these cell-to-cell receptors. And when I was at med school, dental school, it was a lock and key mechanism, right? Protein did that. And that's how cells communicated. Now they know it's a photon of light that passes when these protons touch.
Really?
Yeah, so cell-to-cell communication happens through photons of light.
I didn't know that.
And so when you take this stuff, the cells light up like a Christmas tree, and cellular communication can happen properly, and the body can identify disease cells and kick them out and replace them with healthy ones. Anyway, I was begging my wife to take this stuff, and she was kind of stubbornly refusing, wanted to prove me wrong. After she died, that sounds bad, doesn't it? I said that. After she died, there was a rainbow after she was in a hospice, which is, by the way, they were amazed at the hospice that she could still eat and drink. And they were saying, how come everyone else has got mouth ulcers? Have you ever been to hospice? It's awful, man. The last days are quite uncomfortable if you've had chemo, because they can't eat or drink because their mouth's full of ulcers.
I don't know.
From the chemo.
Why do they even bother with the chemo?
Money, I guess. So they were amazed that my wife could eat and drink right up until the last, because she didn't do chemo. Thank God she didn't do that. And so she had a pretty good passing. There was a rainbow on my way home from the hospice, so I knew she was okay. But that night, I had one of those really vivid dreams, those mad dreams when they're so real.
Yes.
I was dancing with her in this beautiful ballroom in this gorgeous palace.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to do like a ball, formal dancing.
Yeah.
Which we never did.
Huh.
And she was drunk as a skunk on Ambritose.
In your dream?
In my dream. So she'd refused to take it in the physical realm, but she was obviously saying, sorry, I should have taken that. She would have been alive today if she'd taken it.
How old was she when she died?
40? A bit under? Yeah. Young. Way too young.
That's my wife's age.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, really nuts.
I'm so sorry.
No, it was really hard. It's a bit hard for the children, really. Really hard. Yeah. So it's been a passion of mine ever since to try and help people with health problems. Obviously, you try and do what you can. So thank God I can help. Yeah, you should do the same, right? You, with your expertise, with your training, you'd be an amazing doctor. Well, you already are an amazing doctor.
Well, I told you about the consultation thing that I'm going to be launching. Health Guide.
That'll be so good. So good.
So, in terms of have you had any dreams with your wife again?
One or two. She's normally telling me off. She did tell me, before she died that I should get on with it. Stop it. Don't be miserable. Just enjoy your life. Wise words, but not so easy to put into practice. I think I wasted maybe 5 years of being miserable.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that must impact then your relationship with your kids.
Yeah, because they've got a miserable dad for 5 years. It's not easy for them.
And they're okay now?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, really good. Eldest is a lawyer. She's doing great. She went to Cambridge. Middle one's just got a nice job in London. And the youngest is just come up to 19. He's a man mountain. So that's great. So it's good. Yeah.
I've seen my dad a few times, and they've been incredible. So real.
Yeah.
And one occasion, I was packing the stuff we'd been on a picnic. So I'm putting all this stuff on the back of the car. And as I shut the trunk, my dad's standing there. And at that time when I was doing that, I kind of like sighed. And my dad went, "That's a very big sigh." And we were on this hilltop and the sun is setting, gold, orange lights bathing us. It was beautiful, green vista. I was like, well, it's just life. Tired. He went, "Come over here, give me a hug." And it was so real. Like, my dad had not the best breath. He had fillings and everything. I could smell that even. But in a weird way, it was nice because it was that familiar smell.
Yeah.
And he had very thick, coarse hands. I could feel the hug. He was very strong. And it just felt so fucking beautiful. And the warmth and the love that came from him. I started crying. But it's a happy cry. Because I was like, oh God, I really fucking miss this. And I cried so much, actually, it woke me up. And as I woke up, it all just started literally dissolving. And it was the middle of the night. It was cold. And now I cried because I really fucking missed him. And he was just gone.
Yeah.
And I've had a few more dreams like that. And it's like I definitely met him again. Like, does that make sense? Like,
totally.
That's not my... And it wasn't like I was thinking of him during the day or it's an anniversary or a birthday. Like, he literally will just come, boom, into my dreams in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm sure you met him. I'm sure you did. I've had loads of my patients tell me the same kind of stories, like they've missed their dad, passed over. In the night, they've had a vivid dream, had a hug, been told it's all right, get on with it. Enjoy your life. And in fact, you know what?
That's another thing. It's this reassuring thing. Like, my dad has this, like, all-knowing smile. Like, it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, it's given me a click because death and the grieving process, that's the other side. That's them controlling us. That's them telling us to be sad. It's bullshit. It really is. I've been through the grieving thing and it's not easy. But it's such a waste of life. And it's not what we're here for. We should be actually rejoicing. Someone's gone home and they've gone home and had a massive party when they've gone home. Yeah, so they've had their life here. They've gone home back with well, you've been there, right? It's blissful, right?
It's blissful.
It's total bliss. It's like indescribable bliss. You can't put it into words. It's better than a holiday in Ibiza, let's put it that way. So it's absolutely sublime beauty, sublime gorgeousness.
It's heaven.
It's heaven. And so when they go back, no matter how close they are to you, we should be rejoicing because they're having the time of their life and they're looking down at us going, what the hell are they miserable for? Why are they sad? Why are they crying?
Do you know, I've had...
And it is the other side. It is the sinister force that is controlling humanity and keeping people tied to that grief. And then you lose what your life is about. You lose your life purpose because it's about tending the grave, putting flowers on the grave, crying. Or if it's like my dad, God bless your dad. He sits and lights a candle every night for my brother who'd passed over a couple of years ago. And he just cries and blubs and drinks and cries and blubs every night.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I haven't been to my dad's grave since 2019. Yeah. I'll tell you why. I don't see the point. Yeah. I don't see the point of going to a graveyard cemetery, praying to a mound of dirt and soil. He's not there. He's here in my heart.
Yeah.
I see him in my dreams.
Yeah.
He lives on in my memories.
Yeah.
I don't need to physically go to a grave to remember him. And I've told my kids, when I die, I've had this conversation with them. When I die, you will have the biggest of all parties. And they said, Daddy, but before you die, can you have a party then as well so that you're there? And then we'll have another party after you're died.
Yeah.
And they'll celebrate. And I said, I want great music. I want everyone to wear the best and brightest clothes. I have like food trucks, barbecues, cakes. And they were like, yeah, Daddy. So I've already planned it. I've planned what my funeral is going to be like. Told them what to expect. And I said, I don't really care what happens to me. You can cremate me, bury me. It doesn't matter. You don't need to come and visit me. Don't need any of that because I will live inside you forever. That's what I tell them. And I think one of the problems with modern society is we don't actually celebrate death properly. Like we do not wash the body. We do not say goodbye to the body. We do not celebrate the person. We just go to a funeral directed service, very scripted, templated, right? Everybody wears their clothes. Few words are said, walks out, go to the pub, have a few drinks, and that's it. Forgotten about, never talk about ever again. Right? What is that? What is that celebration of that person's life? What is that? What is that? Healing? There's no healing in that. There's nothing.
No, there isn't. There's no comfort there, is there? When I find great comfort in knowing that my wife is having the time of her life. In fact, I know she's back in embodiment now.
What do you mean?
Well, you know you reincarnate, right? So I know she's been born again, this time as a little boy. So I know for
How do you know that?
My mother-in-law rang me up and said that my wife's cousin had just had a baby. And I thought, I wonder if that's Dina. And immediately a massive rainbow went boing. And then my hairs were on end and I thought, oh, she's back. This time as a boy. And her favourite thing to say to me was no. In a Bristolian accent. I can't do the accent. And her name is Noah now in this life. True.
Wow.
True.
So you know what? A few years ago, I would have said you're a complete crackerjack, nut job, woo-woo. And, you know, as being brought up in Islam, that we don't believe in reincarnation. That's something those idolaters, the Hindus, believe in.
It's definitely in the Quran.
You know,
it's in there in black and white in the Quran.
Is it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not a Muslim anymore, but is it?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Something like along the lines of we'll send him out again. And if you overcome, you become a pillar in heaven. So basically, in the Quran, it's like we cause you to live, we cause you to die, we cause you to live, we cause you to die. Something along that. I can't remember the exact phrase.
So
I'll have to Google it. If you Google it now, I bet you'll come up.
Okay, I don't put it past that the reincarnation thing is potentially real. Like you get a chance to play the game again.
Yeah, well,
almost.
There'd be no fairness if you were born, say, in sub-Saharan Africa, and you had no food and no water, and you lived for 6-7 years and then died. What's the fairness in that? Where's your chance to overcome, to become a good person? Do
you think you come back as animals?
No.
You don't think so?
No. And maybe Tony Blair will. But I was just gonna. It gave me a click when you said about dying earlier. Was do you remember seeing one of your first patients die? I remember seeing a patient die on a ward.
Yeah, I do.
As a house officer, and it stuck with me because the nurses were saying, "Oh, so and so, I can't remember his name. He's going to die soon. He's about to pass away." So I looked at him. A nice old man laying in bed. He was very quiet. And the moment he died, it was like a dimmer switch was turned off. The brightness from the body had gone.
Yeah.
So it was literally like the light had been removed from the body. And then he passed over. So I do believe we're just a beam of light, and the light is just withdrawn. You get your first breath when you're born, and then you have your last. It's taken back to God or back to the universe or whatever you want to call it.
Do you know, I was looking at my little baby boy today. So half the half the week, I actually end up sleeping with him at the bottom of the futon. So there's a futon at the end of our bed. And he still sleeps in our room. He's 6 now. I don't care.
That's nice.
When he's ready, he said, Daddy, when I'm 8, I'm going to go into the attic bedroom. I went, all right, baby, whenever you're ready. He goes, this is my bedroom, though. Like, you're sleeping in my bedroom. I'm like, yeah, sleeping in your bed. So last night, I was sleeping with him. I woke up. I was looking at his eyes, and they look just like my dad's. The eyebrows, the eyes. And then as he was waking up, the concentration, he looks just like my dad. And he was born in the December. My dad died in May 2018, and he was born in December 2018. We didn't know if he was a boy or a girl. And when he came out, I would get quite upset when people say to me, oh, you just want another baby so you can have a boy. I find that quite sexist. I was like, I love my girls. I love my girls so much. Quite happy with a third girl. He was a little bratty little boy. I don't care. I want another girl. But the moment he was born, and then, the midwife went, he's a boy. I was overwhelmed by love. And I felt like I lost my dad. But this is a cycle of life. Like, I've got a little boy now. My dad lives on, and this wee boy. And God, his eyes, his eyebrows, he's like my dad. It's just beautiful. And it's funny.
I can feel it. My hair's on end right now. You can feel your love for him. Isn't it beautiful? It's one of the most magical experiences of childbirth. I remember my son being born.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you, 2 girls, 1 boy.
Yeah.
It was like the ceiling evaporated.
Yes.
I could see the stars. I could see light pouring down. It was just divine. It was so magical. So magical.
Were you not overwhelmed by where did all this love come from?
Yeah.
Like, literally a second ago, there's none of this.
Yeah.
And because with matter, physical stuff, they say you can never destroy matter. Matter just changes from one thing to another.
Yeah.
But this wasn't the case. This is suddenly an abundance of this new thing. Like all this extra love suddenly came into the universe.
Yeah.
You're you didn't take love from your wife or your or somewhere else or your dog and then gave it to your boy or your daughter. It's literally, it just magically appears.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming.
It's mind blowing. So beautiful. It's a magical world, isn't it? I know we've spoken a lot about the badness in the world, but it really is wonderful, isn't it? I think that's so important for all your listeners, to viewers, whatever, to keep that in mind. State of happiness is exactly what they don't want you to be in. So stay in that state of happiness. If it's bird watching, if it's watching the football down the pub with your mates, if it's holding your baby, whatever it is, stay in that state of happiness.
Stay in the light.
Yeah, exactly. Stay in the bliss.
It's funny. I gave a talk at Yuki Column and did a speech saying exactly this, age of inversions. And I said, look, the way we win is to do exactly the opposite. They want us to live in fear and anxiety and anger and hatred. So you know what? You just do the exact opposite. You live in love, in hope, in happiness. And you can find it everywhere, whether it's just going out in your garden or walk in the woods or play with your dog or your cat or your kids. You know what? Yeah, the world is a shit show. But you know what? It's all good. We do this thing now. Once a month, we go out to a really nice gelato place. We just have gelato. Midweek. Mid-school week. So you know what? We all go out. We pile in the car. We go. We just have ice cream. And it's just nice. We're all happy. And it's these little things. That's what it's about. So, you know what? You control what you can control. And a lot of other things you can't. But yeah. Anyway, listen, let's wrap up. I know you need to get back. Lovely talking to you. Last question of the day. Pretty kind of relevant because of a lot of what we've been talking about. And actually, you surprised me. We've gone places I didn't expect. You're on your deathbed, my friend. Mm-hmm. You're comfortable. Could be next week. Your loved ones are all around you. Before you meet your maker, your creator, join with consciousness or whatever it is, what words of wisdom or advice or what message will you give to your loved ones?
My advice, I'm very glad you asked that because I was just thinking, how can I slip this in? So here it is. People often ask me, how do you experience a flame in your heart? And how do you stay happy? Well, I go inside my heart flame. And in other words, I put my attention, my breath, my energy, my thoughts and feelings into the flame in the heart and allow that flame just to heal you, to comfort you. And how do you do that? So for me, the easiest thing is to breathe a flower in. So I've got these beautiful orchids at home. Scented orchids are even better if they've got a nice scent. And you kind of breathe the hologram of the flower into your heart. You hold that feeling there. And then you breathe it back to the flower. And you just breathe in the flower, breathe out the flower. And if it's got buds on the flower, you visualize those buds opening. And it helps your own heart to open. That is the advice I would give, and practice it every day until you experience that bliss within. Because that bliss within, doesn't matter what the world is going around you, you can always come back to it. They can always be happy no matter what.
Okay. I don't want to end quite there yet.
There's more.
I just want to ask you one question. You mentioned holograph. I've heard about this holographic world, holographic man, and it's all a hologram. What do you mean by that?
It feels to me like we're in a living, breathing hologram, made of love or some energy force, I guess love. And everything in here is not quite real, but it is real, if you know what I mean. That's why you can connect to someone on the other side of the planet and go, I wonder what Bob's doing. I haven't rung him in weeks. And suddenly you're speaking to Bob on the phone, right? Yeah. So that's what I think the whole world is made of, this force of love. And we swim in this. Like when they say you take a fish out of water, it doesn't know what water is until you pull it out of the water. We're exactly the same. We swim in this sea of love, or we walk in this sea of love the whole time, every single breath. And we don't realize it until they pull us out of it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've not even taken any magic mushrooms.
No, you haven't.
No, you can vouch for that, right?
I can vouch for that. But it comes back to love is all you need. It's the answer to everything is love.
Yeah, I often tell myself that. When I'm in a bad mood or something's wound me up and got out of bed the wrong side.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the solution? Grind your teeth and get angry, or love. Not easy sometimes. In fact, it's not easy a lot of the time. But
a lot of the time it's not.
But it's what we're here to practice.
Amen. Listen, brother, good luck with your campaign with the fluoride business. I hope it's another win. I hope the government will back down. All these public officials will back down. All their garbage. I mean, the hubris and arrogance. They can always come out with these policy papers, technical language, jargon. They pat themselves on the back. They convince themselves and actually think they believe their own lies. That, yeah, fluoride is great. Oh, we should fluoridate. And look at us. We're so modern. We're reintroducing it to the UK, and then we're going to spread it out to the rest of the world. Hopefully, you'll knock some sense into them, get them to just stop and see the error of their ways. I really hope you are successful, buddy.
Thank you, mate. Thank you so much for having me on the talk. Loved it.
I loved it. And hopefully you will come back.
Love to.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.